My volume is okay for you, right?
Yeah, good. Maybe
Okay.
slightly soft lah. Maybe okay. Let me adjust from my side.
Mm.
Okay, much better.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Go live anyway. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's live on Facebook already.
Is it live? Can you see it from your side?
Yeah, I can see.
Awesome. Oh, but did it stop? Okay, it's continuing, right? Okay. All right. So okay, let's start. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you because I remember you first messaged me in LinkedIn. Then I was like, who this Bob guy, right? So then I'm beginning to see you appearing in like my Facebook feed, different groups, and I think you interviewing different people. Then I was like, hey, you are doing something, putting yourself out there. So just wondering that maybe you can introduce yourself, like what do you do, and yeah.
Okay, Aaron. So who am I speaking to? What's your Facebook group's name?
Entrepreneurs and startups in Malaysia.
Oh, Entrepreneurs Startups Malaysia.
Yeah, I think you're in as well.
Okay, all right. Hey. So speaking to entrepreneurs. So this is Bob here. I'm a marketing consultant. I also do training. This year I'm doing LinkedIn training. So I work with startups, agencies, and also individuals when it comes to their marketing strategy. So yeah, so essentially that's what I do. And as you said, I host a podcast as well. It's called the Bob Low Show, where I talk to marketing experts around the world. So that's what I do. So do follow me on LinkedIn if you want to see some of my content.
Yeah. So I think I saw the Bob Low show. It's like, hey, there's not a lot of Malaysians doing a podcast, or especially in the business niche. So I'm just wondering what made you start that podcast and what's your vision for it?
Essentially, I started a podcast, right, as a way to create content for LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to LinkedIn, a lot of content is thought leadership, it's education. So it's not so much a place for entertainment, it's where people go there to learn, right? And then secondly, I wanted to talk to my favorite book authors. I wanted to talk to my favorite podcast hosts, right? So I interviewed Guy Kawasaki, who was one of my favorite book authors when I was in college, like 15 years ago, right? It was my favorite book author, and I was very happy to be able to interview him. I also interviewed Nathan Latka, which also wrote one of my favorite books and I host one of my favorite podcasts. So a podcast, there is not really a revenue stream, right? But it's a good place to create content and a good excuse to talk to someone, right? Like, if I go all the way to Portland and say, hey, Guy Kawasaki, can I have coffee and pick your brains? Which is the worst thing to say, okay? He probably say no. Say, what the hell? Why should I have coffee with you? But if you tell someone, hey, like we're doing right now, can I have a podcast interview? Can I help to promote your book here in Asia? Can I help you, promote it on LinkedIn? So people generally would do that and take the time to, even like, people like Tim Ferriss or whatever, big book authors would take the time to do it with you.
Yeah. I think I share the same sentiment like you. To me is that the big question is that, I saw you interview, I think, Rand Fishkin from Moss.com.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, wow, Bob is interviewing him. So I was wondering, how do you even reach out to them? And how do these big names, say yes to you,
There are a couple of ways. There is the cold way, right? So like Rand Fishkin, I knew he just released a book, and I know that he just released a new software at the time, a new solution called SparkToro. So hey, I said, hey, can I talk to you? I would like to promote Spark Toro here in Asia. So you have to look at, what your the people that you're following, what are they up to? Are they launching a book? Are they having something to launch? So that's an excuse to speak to them. Also, bear in mind if they are launching a book, the 2 weeks before they launch the book, they are very busy. They're doing tours, they're doing interviews on radio shows. But once they launch the book, right, they generally are quite available. So find an excuse, speak to the thought leaders, and then you'll get an interview. So, but there's also another way around it, which takes more time, but gets more percentage. So let's say I want to talk to you, Aaron, right? So if
Yeah.
I know that you know um, Daniel Cervantes,
Okay.
right? So I will, build my relationship, and if I know Daniel very well, I'll build my relationship with him, and then I'll say, hey, Aaron, I spoke to Daniel. Daniel said I should really interview you. Should we get an interview?
Right.
So that is the higher percentage way. Not to say that the first way has low percentage, but this has a higher chance of you getting an interview because you know people are
There's a
generally
warm introduction, right?
there's a reference point, then there's a high chance that you can do an interview with them.
So to me is this whatever you just said is like principles, right? Do you carry forward this principle to your LinkedIn marketing? Like, is it the same from how
You
you?
just froze there. Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, I was wondering that the principles that you just said, that how you reach out to the big names, different strategy. Do you carry forward that to your LinkedIn marketing as well?
Yeah, it's essentially the same.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do LinkedIn marketing, a lot of times you are speaking to decision makers. So let's say you want to speak to a CEO. It's good to build that rapport with the chief marketing officer or people around him first. So if you have big companies to target, you go around targeting everyone in the company. We call it account-based marketing. You create content specifically for that company interest, and then you want to reach the decision maker. He has heard of you, and he's more warm to you because more people have talked about you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think later I will go deeper in the LinkedIn topic, right? But for now, I'm very fascinated by your podcast. Your content creation online, doing video, Zoom interview and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, right? Because so far you have been interviewing a lot of people from the West, right? International, well-known folks. How about people locally in Malaysia? Do you think there's a market here that people will want to see? Maybe Bob interview, Brian Lu from Cha Time, T Live. So people like
Hmm.
that. Do you think that Malaysian have the market to watch podcast interviews like that?
So one of my most listened to episodes so happens to be one episode that I interviewed a local marketer,
Oh,
a local trainer called Maverick Fu.
oh, Merrick. Yeah, I know him.
You can check that episode out. I also
Yeah,
interviewed Kai Yong, who is a growth marketer. So
yeah,
I've interviewed local people. Not I also tend to like to interview local people.
right,
Not but it's it depends on their availability. So I also interview a lot of local people as well. I interview people from Singapore and Malaysia. There is a big market for it. The reason why I sometimes speak to people from the West because they are the authors of my favorite books.
right. You do
So
it for yourself.
that's that as well.
Understood.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's time for us Malaysian to, create content like this because we are pretty good at doing like Facebook marketing, Facebook page, but in terms of more advanced stuff like LinkedIn, or
Mm.
even Quora, or even doing podcasts or doing YouTube, we are quite behind. So
Yeah.
much more to learn, right? I think people like you is very important to to inspire people, to inspire people like us and say, hey, if Bob can do it, we can do it, and more people do it, more people will follow, and the ecosystem will grow, right? So I think I just want to say thank you for starting this movement. I
Yeah.
think the reason why I'm doing this also because I saw you did it, right? It's like, why not let me try and interview you first, right?
It's fun. It's fun. You actually
Yeah,
enjoy if you have time. You enjoy the preparation. You enjoy the research and you enjoy the conversations and you will learn something as well. And
Yep.
from what I got out of it is the people that I interview, some of them, when I travel, I actually meet them up, right? So
Ah.
if you like, let's say I constantly email Rand Fishkin, I wish him, Merry Christmas. I sometimes tweet him back and
Yep.
things like that. So when I'm in Seattle, I could hit him out, hey, you want to have meet for a coffee because he's done your podcast. He's more
Yep.
warm to meet you up. So you actually build a network, right?
Yep.
When you interview people.
Yeah. So I think before we go deeper to the what you really do, like digital marketing and LinkedIn marketing, could you describe your typical client job that you do, right? Because how many percentage of that is actually uh, LinkedIn or other form of digital marketing channels?
So my focus this year, I actually have a wide range of clients.
Ah.
I recently also worked on a project with Marvel Studios.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so if you go to Pavilion, there is like the Marvel Exhibition Center. So
Mm-hmm.
that's purely paid advertising. But my clients nowadays are more B2B clients, right? So LinkedIn is a big part of it because that's the place where you reach companies, you reach professionals, but it also includes SEO, ranking for niche keywords when it comes to B2B. And it also includes, if you can't do SEO, it includes Google AdWords, and it includes email marketing, CRM, things like that, essentially to get them the leads for their business. So I work mostly with B2B marketers, B2B companies. I also work with individuals who want to create content for their LinkedIn, want to create their online presence on LinkedIn. So I help coaches and speakers to do that. So that's another sort of consulting that I do. So how I do it is, I do calls with these people and I coach them on how to, do better on LinkedIn. So that's what I do.
Right. So I think lead generation basically for B2B,
Mm,
right? And you just wondering, right, that lead gen, do you think is there a major difference between lead gen organically compared to paid, right? So because I hear this thing that if you pay for traffic or pay for lead gen,
mm,
people tends to convert more
mm.
compared to someone who just consumes something organically without quite low intention to purchase your offer. So just from your experience, like, what is your opinion on this?
Lead gen organically, for my experience, actually both are equally good, right?
Okay.
Lead gen organically is good because the interest is there. They are looking for something. So I used to work with a fire consultancy company,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you rank for fire certification, that person is looking for that specifically. So it's good leads, right? When it comes to paid lead gen, right? If you're running lead gen ads,
Yep.
so you need to give something in return. So, for example, if I'm running lead gen ads for fire consulting, it's like 10 ways to keep your office safe from fire, or 6 ways to get approval from the bomba department, to
Right.
speed up the approval process. 6 things you need to watch out. So you need to give something, a lead magnet in return if you're doing paid ads, right?
Right.
um, Organic, you also can give a lead magnet, but that person is generally interested, they're coming in. So it can be a blog post, it can be an article, it can be your product page. So that's what happens organically. So both are equally good. Yeah, so both for me are equally good. So for paid, it depends on your lead magnet.
Yeah. I remember when you were live streaming in Facebook, I think last week, and I left a comment. I said, how active are Malaysians
Mm,
in LinkedIn, because I can only say from my own experience, I probably log in once a month,
mm,
check some messages, accept some requests, friend requests, right? Reply some comments. That's it, right? Uh, Probably because I'm not really in a corporate scene. So
mm.
like to you, right? Just want to get a gauge of how is the Malaysia landscape in LinkedIn? Do people, like, what in your words, decision makers spend a lot of time in LinkedIn, and do they really like make deals, meet people, accept any offer. So just wondering from your experience in LinkedIn so far.
So, right, just to give a context to the audience, LinkedIn used to be this online resume platform for you to
Okay.
look for jobs, and the
Yeah.
only content feed there was text, which works well during that time. Okay, I think close to end of 2017, they became a content platform where videos came, images came, and a lot of people would start creating content. So I joined that wave early 2018. Okay, now 2 years ago. So I was creating content since then. And you wouldn't be surprised, right? So I give you a few examples. 2 weeks ago, I ran a LinkedIn training, and the people who came to the training were people who actively, create content on LinkedIn. A number of them were business owners. Okay, so if you go on LinkedIn, I'll give you some names to tell you which decision makers or big business leaders are actively on LinkedIn, right?
Okay.
Askan Osman, right, from Naluri Hidup,
Yeah.
is very active creating content. The CEO of Citibank Malaysia and Singapore, he actively creates content on LinkedIn last year. I don't know if he's still doing it now, but he posts his, his go-kart pictures onto LinkedIn and his videos. He
Right.
even tells people how his race went. So he was very active on LinkedIn. I think people like Tony Fernandez are also very active. So I think CEO of Faith, Jake Abdullah, is very active on LinkedIn. He constantly posts on LinkedIn, has been since his Astro days. So all these are big people in corporates, and they are very active on LinkedIn. So you tell me whether decision makers are active on LinkedIn or not.
Right. Yeah, I think I hope whoever listening to this will gain a bit more awareness that, hey, funny that this is broadcast live in Facebook. but I think it's good to shed some light on how the LinkedIn landscape is, because when you say content in LinkedIn, is it articles? Do LinkedIn have do you do, because I know that LinkedIn have like an editor, right? Like you can write an article there, and basically it's a social media as well. So do you write content? Like, what kind of content works well in LinkedIn? So I think that's really what I'm trying to gauge at.
Yeah. So I hope that the audience knows that now LinkedIn has video. Last year, LinkedIn video was very good. A lot of people have been posting content, video content on LinkedIn. I post snippets of interviews like this onto LinkedIn, and some of them have got very good traction.
Okay.
Text posts for now work very well on LinkedIn, but any format that you have, it depends on the individual, right? Any content format that you have, whether it's articles, text, you can even do slides nowadays, documents, or images. So it depends on the engagement. It doesn't so much, it depends a bit on the format, but the engagement is key. So if you put out any sort of content, if the engagement is high in the first few hours, that's where the content will spread.
All right, the algorithm will work its way, right?
Quick way, and it doesn't work if your engagement comes later. Your engagement has to come in the first few hours.
Understood.
And people who get engagement fast are people who build an audience. So let's say you're very active on Facebook, you constantly post on Facebook. That's why people will engage with you, because they're seeing your stuff, they are used to engaging with your stuff. So people who do well when it comes to content on LinkedIn are people who are consistent. So they can post anything, people jump on their content to engage with it because people are used to it. So if they build an audience, it's very easy for their content to go viral.
Would you be able to share an example of a successful LinkedIn campaign that you have performed for your clients?
What sort of campaign?
I don't know, like for example, it can be lead gen, it can be I think LinkedIn is probably lead gen, right?
Yeah,
so
sure. So I worked with a client who was in Hong Kong, and he was a localization company. So one of the challenges he had was he was not very good at doing video like this.
Right.
Yeah, so he was not very good at doing video, but we found ways around for him to do video. So we actually created text content. He was very good at writing, and when we put the text content into a software like Lumen 5,
Right.
it will create videos for you, but in a very sort of interactive format.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks very professional.
Yep.
So once we keep putting out videos from Lumen 5, his people in his industry and potential clients started to, notice his content. First, his content was very rich in information because he's very good at writing. So
Right.
that caught attention of the biggest airlines here in the region that eventually became his clients, and he got him a lot of attention in the region. So that was one way, one of the clients I can think of. But it all goes around, working on the strengths of how you create content. So if you're very good in text, please do text, and then we will see how I can make it into video. So it's more of consistently creating content on LinkedIn.
Right. So like how many views in a LinkedIn video is considered good? Consider a success?
It depends on the individual, but LinkedIn is very fair. So I shared in the LinkedIn training, right?
Sure.
I I don't want to talk
You do
bad
have,
about people, but
right?
there are some influencers with 1 million followers. I showed on my LinkedIn training 1 million followers
Wow.
that
Okay.
don't get engagement on LinkedIn. Cannot. They get like 10 likes, right? But some people with even a few hundred followers, LinkedIn is fair. If you create good content with good engagement, you can get thousands of views.
Right.
Yeah. So even if you're starting out now, it doesn't matter. If you can get good traction for your content, tomorrow you can have very good reach for your content. So any content that goes from a few hundred, few thousand views is good views on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So I know you run like a LinkedIn workshop, right? Or a masterclass
Training,
kind of.
yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I also wouldn't want you to reveal too much of your,
No
secret
worries.
sauce.
No worries.
But I just wondering, because for example, LinkedIn ads, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe you can share like what are the aspect. So what are the things that you can find in LinkedIn advertisement that you cannot find in Facebook ads, for example?
When I use it, it's pretty much the same.
Same,
It's
right?
very similar UI.
Mm-hmm.
But what differentiates Facebook and LinkedIn? Facebook, as we speak right now,
Yep.
is decreasing in the level of targeting you can have. Today, one of my friends just found out that they removed the targeting for positions.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but
That's
in
weird.
yeah, in contrast, LinkedIn you can target people with specific positions.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to reach all the CTOs in Malaysia, want all the CFOs in Hong Kong, all the CFOs in Singapore. You can do that. That's why it's expensive because it reach very specific people.
Yeah. And the cost per acquisition is indeed expensive, right? Like
It varies
comparably.
on your targeting, so it's similar to Facebook. So if your targeting is very broad, it will affect your cost per lead. So it depends on how you run the campaign. Of course, it can be more expensive, but it's very targeted. It's not like Facebook where you target millions of people. You're targeting, it could be a few hundred people.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, I think that's a really I think generally Malaysians are underutilizing LinkedIn, especially I think people watching now, we have a big group here, but because when you manage a group in Facebook, you see what people post, like because we don't allow people to post, you need an admin approval, and a lot of people would benefit from learning how to do content, example, right? So I think to me is that there's so many things to master, right? How to build content, how to network with them online, how to utilize all these tools, how to calculate your cost per lead, so many things, right? I think that's where you come in, to be the compass among your clients, right? So that built up to my next question, like since there's so many things for people to learn, to master, and they have to do it eventually, what are the 20% things that can generate or can yield the 80% result for most people? What's the general rule of thumb?
General rule of thumb, 20% that can you.
Yeah, should I do ads? Should I do content a bit more long term, or should I do just co message people? Yeah, which would you recommend?
I would say if you need business tomorrow, then you have to do co-messaging.
Co-messaging?
You have to ask for referrals. You have to knock on doors, right? Content is good, but content is authority building. So
Right.
content is what you do when you have the luxury of you have food at the table. Then you do content.
Have you landed client job just by co-messaging?
You have to. So
Okay.
it's not so much cold messaging. So you sort of build relationship with the person and then you go for the ask, right? Content, you'll get inbound inquiries, but it's not that fast. But if you need food on the table tomorrow, right? You need to start asking people. You might even have to pick up the phone and call people, right? So like it depends on how much you want to do. But if you really want long-term leads, then content is a good play. But if you say, oh, tomorrow I need to do some business tomorrow, right? You have to think about, hey, I went to this event. What are the 10 people I talked to? These people might need some leads, and start going cold and start reaching out to people.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I think I got to start hanging more time in LinkedIn, right? Because you see, after so many years owning a LinkedIn account, I pretty much accept whoever want to connect with me. So it's pretty weird, right? You cannot really see the total. Can you see like who you have connected with in LinkedIn?
Yes, you can.
You can, right? It's pretty hidden. I know. Yeah. I think one day we can have coffee. You can talk about all these things. Yeah. But that's good. I think pretty much today, these are the few things that I would like to find out from you, and you answered them perfectly.
Yeah. I would say if you are starting out, right, Aaron? If you are around LinkedIn, I would say I would say start connecting with people, connecting with as many people that would be of interest to you for now. So what I say is send them a connection request with a personalized message. Tell them why you should connect and start building their network. So when you need the network, you have a network to reach out to. And when you create content, there is a good audience to engage with your content. So if you're starting out right now, start connecting with people. Like, if you want to start with all the CEOs in Malaysia, please do. All the startup entrepreneurs, you can start it now. Or you can create a feed on your Facebook group. Say, hey, please post all your LinkedIn URL. And let's start connecting with each other.
Yep. I think we'll do our own, LinkedIn group, there as well, right? Okay. Talking about that, like how do you find groups in LinkedIn?
How do I find groups? You mean how effective are they?
Yeah, how effective are they? Right? Because I've seen there's some groups are quite dead, right?
Now they are quite dead.
Okay.
But I've heard rumors. I've heard that they are trying to introduce new features, but it's not coming to Asia yet. And for now, around the world, it's quite dormant.
Right. Okay. Last question about LinkedIn, right? Because I see in your profile that you have, I think you subscribe to LinkedIn Premium. What kind of businesses or what kind of people would find it worth their money in subscribing to LinkedIn Premium?
So I'm trying to. I'll do some sales pitch for LinkedIn here today. Right? I'll do like. I don't sell LinkedIn Premium solution, but I'll just give you my opinion. All right. I hope LinkedIn is not listening. So when it comes to LinkedIn Premium, there are 3 types of accounts. There is the professional, the recruiter, the business, and then the 4th type is the sales navigator. Right? So the business account, the recruiter use it for recruitment. The professional is for you to be able to be open to for people to find you and to be open to find jobs and things like that. Okay, the professional so what I use is more the sales navigator. Is there a sales navigator? So when it comes to sales navigator, right? what happens is I can search for very specific people. So Sales Navigator has a very advanced sales function where I can look for people with a certain company size, with a certain position in any geography, and their business function. So that's why I use the Sales Navigator. The premium account, the other one, the business premium, allows you to send email, right? But I would recommend if you're doing sales or doing anything regarding business development, have the Sales Navigator, because if you want to search for very specific people in industries, then that is the tool to use. So I use it for my client. That's why I have it. But if you don't have it, I think it's easy to even create content and use the free search function. There's an advanced search there.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I actually had a 1 year worth of LinkedIn Premium before, because I went to this conference in Silicon Valley, and I think I met Reeve Hoffman as well at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think because of all the participants in the conference, he gave away like free 1 year worth of LinkedIn Premium. Then looking back now, I'm like, okay, I think I wasted the 1 year worth of free premium. So because just didn't really know how to leverage LinkedIn. I think this is something that I think Facebook is getting saturated. Getting so many junks, unfortunately. So I think the future is definitely very niche communities, niche professional network like LinkedIn and many more, right? So I think last question of the night is, I just want to know that your engagement with all your clients, do you work remotely or do you meet them face to face, or how do you work with them?
In KL. So if they're in KL, I'll meet them face to face. If they are abroad, I'll meet them remotely, or if I travel, I might meet them. So it's both.
Yeah, let's say if you have like a corporate client, right? They are big Fortune 500. Do they entertain you if you say, hey, can I work remotely? Can we do a conference call? Just do you work with their team using collaborative tools online? Would that work?
Yes. So when it comes to big
Okay.
corporations, right, you have to speak to the decision maker. So they are normally open to a consultant, and the terms of engagement has to be very clear before you start working with them.
Right.
So there is a lot of processes, but when it comes to big corporations, you generally iron a lot of things out before you start the engagement.
Right. So how can the community help you, Bob? What is your 2020 plan, and how can we help you?
How can you help me?
Yeah. Subscribe to your podcast, something like that.
Yeah. Just listen to my podcast. I have a Facebook page, so I do weekly lives. So actually, my live where I answer questions is on Thursday. So I'm trying to do it every week this year, and I post up. So you can submit your questions. This week's one so happened to be on LinkedIn as well. Last week's one was about B2B marketing. So I'll try to find a different topic every week to answer questions, to build a community. So if you want, you look for Bob Low, digital marketing consultant. That's my Facebook page, and then I will post the lives there.
Yeah, I think whoever watching now or listening to the recording, please, ask question from Bob every Thursday, right? Because he's doing this for free, and the things that you can learn from him would potentially land you $1 million deal, right? So I think to me the ROI is pretty clear, right? It's worth at least interacting with Bob, and I think that's one thing why I invited him here, and just to add value to the group, because we have a big group here, 23,000 members, right? We also didn't know how it grew so fast, but I think it's time for us to introduce more personalities like yourself, Bob, and also much more valuable content here, and let's grow the local ecosystem together, right? I think Malaysians like you, if you can interview Guy Kawasaki, wow, I think a lot of us here can do that as well. So I think just want to say thank you for doing all this and inspire all of us here, right?
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah. Okay, I think let's wrap that up because I don't see any questions from them. So thank you for doing this again, especially this late, right? Hope to speak to you soon.
Right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.